you here. I've been getting a lot of requests to do reviews of my guns, and if you've been watching my channel, you know I don't think I've done a single review, because when I get a new replica in, I can't review it without ever using it, and then by the time I have used it for a while, I've moved on to other things, so I never followed up with a long-term video. And just to, in the spirit of full disclosure, I don't get a lot of field time, so a lot of, let's say 70% of the BBs through the pipe here is in my workshop testing various things, hops, rate of fire, just having fun shooting when I've had a long day. But the weather is going to start changing here in Texas, and it's going to get cooler, and I will be getting out more often, fingers crossed. So anyway, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over a, not necessarily a review, but this is what I've run into, this is how I fixed it, and this is what you should or should not do. So first, I'll start with saying this GKM is what it started as, early 2012 model. Takes all real AK furniture. So this folding stock is not real, it's a LCT I believe, but it does take real stock. So I actually had a Rifle Dynamics stock adapter on here at one time, and it fit with zero effort. This handguard set is a Romanian. As you can see, it's used, it looks nice, feels nice, fits on. I didn't have any fitment issues. The lower handguard is tight, doesn't move. The upper moves like it should. It is a gas tube only. The pistol grip, I believe, is an RPD pistol grip. It's wider, so look at that. And this is the standard AK. See how thin that is? This fits your hand, or at least it fits my hand a whole lot better. It just feels better in my hand, so I have that on. And what I've also done is given it a little bit of a worn look, and now that I'm looking at it, it looks like I forgot the gas tube. But all I did is take these Scotch-Brite green pads and just rub the shit out of it, and it gives it a nice worn look. Could I have done more? Yeah, absolutely. I could have made it more worn looking, but to me it looks fine. Too much may not look correct, or it may, I don't know. Move this aside for a second. So what I'll do is I will pop the cover here and take this out. So you can replace the charging, the recoil rod with a more realistic recoil rod by Hephaestus, and it's a two-piece, so it's wobbly. It's not necessary. It just makes it feel more realistic, but your stock one works just fine. You are going to need this buffer piece. This is what keeps it from going full travel, and if you look here, the rails do not extend all the way to the back. So if you remove this piece, you may get 1 or 3, 4, 5 BBs rounds down the pipe without anything happening. You can even make it a mag, but eventually the carrier is going to pop out, and this piece is going to jump out and hit you in the chin. Seen that happen before. Let's take a look at the carrier. I have the Simoon heavy buffer set in, and one thing you're going to want to do if you either stay with the GHK set or you go with the heavy buffer set is you're going to want to Loctite where it interfaces here, because there's a threaded piece in here, and right here as well. I actually went with epoxy here, so it does not, that's JB Weld, and then I went with red Loctite here. You could go with blue and it probably would stay as well. Now, going with the heavy buffer is going to reduce your gas efficiency. Not sure how many BBs it's going to decrease, but you won't be able to get the full efficiency, you won't be able to take advantage of the full efficiency of the magazine. There is, on the nozzle, and this one actually still has it, there's two wings that it rides on inside the carrier. Your wings have a tendency to, one wing will snap off during a game, and if that happens, then your gun is rendered useless. There is a way to minimize that issue, and that is to proactively clip the two wings. Let me get a screwdriver so you know what I'm talking about. So you actually remove the nozzle guide right here. That holds the nozzle guide in place. Sometimes you gotta get pliers and pull it out. That one came right out. So here's the two wings. So you can see right here. You just get an X-Acto knife and shave those flat. They are not needed for the proper function of your AK. And then you'll never have that issue at all. Now you can further increase your FPS and recoil by putting a little O-ring around around the nozzle tip here. There we go. A small O-ring you can stick in there and it'll increase the FPS. I would consider your O-rings consumables. I would stock up on them. They're eventually going to give and wear out on you, and when you start having weird problems, that's usually the problem. If you use a Pro-Win aftermarket aluminum nozzle, you are going to have these castle pieces eventually snap off. And when that happens, your nozzle will just come out completely, and you will have it'll be rendered useless. The aluminum nozzle is very hard on your carrier. Just using them for a mag or so, you start to see these bend. Now there is a mod where you take one of these and half of another and you put them in there, and then it keeps the aluminum nozzle from coming out far enough. So that's an option as well. However, the high velocity nozzle works great. And if you clip the wings, you're not going to have the problem that the people went to the aluminum nozzle for, so that your wings don't break anymore. In your internals, you're going to have some problems at some point. Most likely it's your sear, your auto sear, and it'll snap. Good thing is if your auto sear snaps at the back here, let's see. What happens is your gun just does, there won't be any full auto, it'll just be semi-auto. For me, I run semi-auto only, so it's not a big deal. But you can replace that with the Hephaestus sear. I think Team GBB has one as well. I don't recommend Team GBB anything. I do have a couple of their outer barrels for the shorties, and they work fine, believe it or not, but their other parts do not work well, and I'll go into that a little bit in more detail. The other part that you're going to see some wear on is your firing pin, and Hephaestus has a firing pin. Somebody else has one too, and I can't remember who it is. Pro-Win. I don't recommend Pro-Win. Pro-Win has their own set of accessories, and they're supposed to really be used together. It's the firing pin, hammer spring, the hop unit, and their magazine. Their magazine is crap, so I wouldn't go with anything other than their hop unit. Their hop unit is extremely solid. It's aluminum and it works great. Hop units. So there are obviously the stock one. There is the A+ placement hop unit, where it changes your wheel here to adjust it with a screw. It does not work in every AK. Some work, some don't. I have a couple that it works fine with. This model right here will not work with it no matter what. I don't see any increase in accuracy or range over using a GHK hop unit, inner barrel and bucket. Let's see. ProWin makes a replacement hop unit. It's great. It will allow you to use the same size buckings. Nubs. Team GBB makes one. Pure crap. It's and also Raytech makes a replacement feed ramp here. This is plastic. That would be the only one that's made, and I think it's steel, or at least aluminum. I've never had a problem with the plastic one, so not exactly sure the purpose of it. I guess if you're just looking for all steel. Now there's another guy that makes full steel internals, including the carrier, and that's Tony from Daytona Gun. If you replace everything with steel, you cannot use green gas. You will have to use CO2 mags or Devil Hunter Mod 0 or 1, your magazines. You will not get anything decent out of them. Speaking of the steel hammer that the DG comes with and all these other parts, you don't need them. I mean, I have thousands of BBs through this, and my hammer has a little bit of wear that I got at the beginning, and it hasn't had any more since. Yeah, it may break after 10, 20, 25,000 BBs, but the hammer's like $5. So I don't see the point. And if you're going to get a steel hammer, you're probably going to want to get the steel carrier because you're going to start having increased wear on the bottom here. So just remember, everything that you replace with steel is going to wear the parts that are not steel that it interfaces with abnormally fast, unless you replace everything with steel. It uses AEG inner barrels, AEG buckings, that are proprietary nub. You can open the hop window to allow you to use AEG nubs, but you've got to be super careful to make sure you enlarge it equally on both sides, or you're going to have the BB going left or right. I've had outstanding results with wide bore inner barrels and high velocity nozzles. Getting great results, accuracy wise and range wise. If you get a wide bore inner barrel, you're going to be looking at a 70-ish FPS drop. That's why you need to mitigate it with a high velocity nozzle. And this one is a high velocity nozzle. This is the old style. You can see the ball bearing inside of it. Now the new style nozzles, you can't look through this gas inlet window to see if it's a low, standard, or high velocity. You have to actually put it in and shoot it and see what it does. Let's see, what else? Right now I have, I believe, a Simoon steel outer barrel. And I think that's pretty much it. And right now this has a Miracle box or something like that inner barrel. It's like a 6.08 millimeter inner barrel and a maple leaf bucking. And it shoots very, very nicely. And I think that's it. I mean, this was my first GHK AK, actually my first GHK gbbr. And this one by far has the most BBs through it, and it has done very, very good. I've skirmished it quite a few times, and it's done very, very good. Before I let you go, this is the 74 style magazine. There's lots of advice on, if you get your AK, this is what you should do first. Well, don't listen to any of that. Shoot it first, see how it runs. Don't proactively file the inside of your feed lips here. I have never met a 74 mag that needed the feed lips filed. The steel mags are a different breed. They do need theirs most of the time, but don't proactively do it. If you start getting jams or you're double feeding, stuff like that, then you know that the BB is too tight inside the feed lip, and instead of the nozzle arm pushing it out into the chamber, it's popping it out and making it go up and around. It's easy to diagnose that. Let's see what else. The only thing that I would say you probably should do right off the bat is file these wings off so you don't have a catastrophic failure mid-game. Simoon did reinforce this area, but I had one of these reinforced ones fail. One of the wings popped off and jammed up my gun. If you don't have a way to cut that other wing off in the field, you're dead in the water. So I think that's really the only thing I would do straight out of the box, other than clean the damn thing and lube it up properly. And whenever you're asking about lubing it up properly, I would drop some silicone oil in here, get a toothbrush, smooth it all around, put some on the O-rings and pop it back in there, make sure it moves in and out nice and smoothly, and then put some silicone oil here on these two areas here, these tabs that ride in the rails, and that's it. I wouldn't touch anything else. I run only propane or CO2. I don't run green gas. Green gas introduces too much silicone into the oil into the chamber, and then it greases up your entire inner barrel and your bucking, and it causes massive inconsistencies. Using propane, your O-rings will eventually leak on these mags. So what? Buy more. These are consumables. They will leak from here, probably never here, and they more likely will leak from here at some point. Just tighten that sucker down. You can get a new O-ring from anywhere for the bottom because it's not really that big of a deal. Let's see. I think that's it. I give, if I had 4 thumbs, I would give it the GHK AK 4 thumbs. I've owned a Wii AK and I thought it was crap. For it to even run right, you had to replace all the internals with a Raytech. And I just didn't like the feel of it compared to the GHK. It's a personal opinion. There's plenty of people that like the Wii AK. But that's just me. So if you're looking for an AK, I would definitely be looking, I would at least give the GHK AK a look before you commit to anything. Alright, so I think I've went over everything possible about the GHK and what you should do and what you should not do. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks, guys.